You want to buy a passport, but you don't want it to be wasted money, that is through donation. You want to recover part, a large part, or even the full investment after a few years. We start with Turkey, where an investment of $400,000 in real estate for 3 years, which you can rent in the meantime, allows you to later sell and still keep the citizenship. Realistically, you can get it between 12 to 18 months, although there are cases in mid-2025 where it's granted in 9 or 10 months. Government fees and legal costs may add up another $50,000 approximately. If you are able to recover the investment after a few years and you have chosen a good property or properties, you will barely have spent money on this program and you can reinvest in other residencies, golden visas, or citizenship. Turkey's passport doesn't have Schengen area, but doesn't really worry me because we can combine it with another option that does have it. And also, even though Turkey has been selling passports for a while, it doesn't carry the strong smell of a bought passport simply because it's a huge country and has consulate all over the world in case something happens to you. We move to Cambodia, one of the few countries in Asia where you can get more than permanent residency, citizenship, and a passport. In this case, we are not talking about free market properties, but government pre-approved properties with a minimum value of $305,000. This country is very crypto-friendly and even allows you to pay for the property directly in crypto through some agencies that later convert it to USD for you, unlike other places where it's only accepted as proof of funds or not even that. Legal fees, government charge, and due diligence can cost about $100,000 more, and the estimated time frame is 5 to 8 months to get the passport. You don't need to keep the property for a set period, and that's what makes this option attractive for many people, because they might find something and not mind reselling it at a slightly lower price. This way they could get citizenship for under $200,000, even though they initially put about $400,000 on table. We now move to Egypt, where you can invest $300,000 in real estate, residential, commercial, or land in government approved projects. But here we have to exclude the Sinai region. After 5 years you can sell the property and recover as much as possible. Then we have Jordan, which is not as simple or direct as Cambodia or Egypt, since there is no real estate or investment option unless it's part of business or project that creates local employment. And here we have two options: a project outside Amman with a minimum investment of $750,000 and employing 10 local people, or a project inside Amman with a minimum investment of $1 million and employing 20 locals. In both cases, the project must be maintained for at least 3 years. In Cambodia, Egypt, and Jordan, most people don't choose these options because they think they are better than Turkey or Dominicana. We'll get to that soon. But because buying there might unlock better business opportunities that bring even more money. Maybe they don't need a local partner because they qualify themselves, or maybe they are trying to create structures without citizenship for asset protection purposes. We move now to the Caribbean, citizenship and passports that I quite like as second or third options. There are 5 competitors among them, and even though they all offer it, I personally wouldn't go for real estate in the Caribbean. It's pre-approved, and for reasons we will discuss next. I would only go for the donation route, and yes, I know I'm hurting my own business by saying this, but it's the reality of these programs. In Antigua, the minimum real estate investment is $300,000, and you must keep the property for at least 5 years to resell. That said, Antigua requires you to live in the country for 5 days each year during the first 5 years, so that your citizenship is not revoked. It's the only Caribbean country with this requirement. This week, we were about to process a client who was interested in this option. When we met with my lawyers, who are authorizing agents, they told us that all the $300,000 units has sold out, and the only ones left were starting at $400,000. That would mean a total of around $450,000 to $470,000, including fees, government charges, legal costs, and due diligence. However, it is true that this is one of the most reputable options, along with St. Kitts and Nevis, which we'll discuss next. Now we move to Dominica, where the minimum real estate investment is $200,000, and you must hold it for 3 to 5 years, depending on whether you resell to another future applicant under this program or not. The downside of Dominica isn't the processing time or the cost if you are a sole applicant, it's the reputation, historically the worst among the 5. They even lost visa-free access to the UK and Ireland for not conducting proper due diligence, although we are now seeing some improvement. If you are applying as a family, Dominica is not the best option in terms of reputation or cost. It's the cheapest only if you are a sole applicant. If you are dependents, the cost increases substantially, something that doesn't happen as much in other options. Let's talk about Grenada, where the minimum investment is $270,000 for a family of 4. It's the only country among Caribbean programs with an E2 treaty with the US. The only catch is that you need to live there for 3 years to apply under that treaty, as this was changed a few years ago for all E2 treaty countries. Of course, we have solutions and some kits. In the first, the minimum investment is $300,000 and it has the longest processing time. Some kits has the oldest program with a minimum price of $325,000, but in St. Lucia, you must hold the property for 5 years, and in St. Kitts, 7 years before reselling. Apart from Grenada, which is the only country outside the hurricane belt, I wouldn't consider real estate again and would only look at contribution options or perhaps the bond option in St. Lucia, if you don't mind the current delay of almost 2 years to obtain the passport. It's important to mention that with all the pre-approved real estate programs, there is a major downside. They are probably selling you a property for more than it would be worth in a free market. When you go to sell it, no one will offer the same amount, not even close, and in some cases, if you don't choose the right developer, you could end up with issues, such as buying only a few square meters instead of a full unit, or being stuck with a property no one wants to buy, so you can only rent it on Airbnb or Booking. Adding more food, some developers, like a few Chinese ones, have even had legal problems. That's why I recommend you to fill out the form in the description so we can assess how to help you with our lawyers, who have 30 years of experience in this industry and are authorized agents for each of these programs. Now I want to talk about another Caribbean country with a real estate option that's not often promoted as an investment route, since it's only available through the right contacts and depending on the political moment, and that's the Dominican Republic. In DR, we could say there is an exceptional route and merit route. If you buy a property worth at least $200,000 and have the right contacts, you could get citizenship in under 6 months without the need to live there for the usual number of years for naturalization. For example, for Spaniards, that would normally be 2 years, and for other Latin Americans as well. It's possible to get, but like I said, this isn't 100% guaranteed. If there is a change of government or the situation with Haiti worsens, your applications could be stalled for years, and you will end up taking just as long as naturalizing by residency. There are also other exceptions programs and some options that start with residency. If you combine a few years of physical presence, you can obtain citizenship in a short period, but in these cases, you do have to live there, which isn't required for the previous programs. For example, Panama gives you PR after purchasing a property worth $300,000. In 3 years, you can apply for citizenship if you are Uruguayan. In 2 years, if you are Spanish, Argentine, Ecuadorian, Honduran, Mexican, Nicaraguan, Peruvian, or Colombian. And just in 1 year if you are from El Salvador. That said, it could take another 2 to 3 years to be granted, since the government hadn't been eager to issue citizenship through residency. However, they have recently made a statement saying they will push forward, which is a positive thing. But we still have to see if a new government would continue this or stop it altogether. Next, we have Uruguay, a destination you have told me I don't mention much, not because it's a bad option, but simply because I haven't lived there long enough to speak about it personally. Still, we must highlight that permanent residency is available through real estate investment of approximately $500,000, and you can become a tax resident with just 60 days per year. If you invest $2 million, you don't even need to be physically present to be a tax resident. However, to naturalize, to get the citizenship, you do need to live in the country for 3 years to 5 years, depending on whether you create a family in ties in the country or not. What I like is that starting this year, they have removed the birthplace from passport. It no longer shows whether you were born in India, Spain, or Mauritania. In fact, many people are now choosing Uruguay as new home to naturalize, since they are not yet as strict as Argentina, where they have gone from giving citizenship easily to anyone to denying them to almost everyone, requiring you not to live in Argentina even once for a 24-month period. I would include Argentina in this top list in a few months once they move forward with the new CBI program, especially if they include a real estate option or pre-approved government real estate. We have to see how that develops. Now we move on to Paraguay, where you can obtain PR with a $70,000 investment. You need a business plan, you must hire local staff, and you will be granted permanent residency. If you execute it properly, you can apply by creating a company, buying land, and building, but not just by purchasing already built real estate unless you hire staff to run something like an Airbnb. After 3 years of permanent residency, you can obtain citizenship if you have lived 9 months per year in the country. We have seen some cases where even without meeting that requirement, but with strong roots in the country, citizenship was granted. But it's not easy and must be examined case by case. These Latin American countries are perfect because they have territorial tax system. If you have a foreign company or foreign income, you can repatriate it at 0% tax, as long as the work wasn't carried out within the national territory. For people who want a European base and a second passport in the short term, now, through real estate investment, you can get permanent residency in Malta from 300,000 euros and naturalize in 5 years. Or if you hurry, even citizenship by investment from 700,000 euros, which totals to about 1 million euros, 1.1 million euros, including fees for a family of 4. This program is under attack from Europe, and for example, people with Venezuelan passports can apply using that nationality, that citizenship. The same goes for some other countries. Also, we have other golden visas like Greece and Hungary, ranging from 250,000 euros to 1 million depending on the area chosen in Greece. In Hungary, it might be done through a company purchase and property acquisition by company. In both countries, unless there is real integration and you spend at least 7 or 8 years there, plus learn the language, you won't be granted citizenship. Unless they are totally combined, they simply won't grant it. We could mention Portugal, a golden visa I like a lot, which no longer includes real estate, but it's expected to reintroduce the non-habitual residency program, at least for golden visa applicants. Maybe if the government in Portugal changes their idea and they allow people to invest there in the country, buying land and building new houses, new buildings, maybe could be a good option. If you need help choosing or applying for any of these programs, I invite you to fill out the form in the description. We will review it together and see which is the best for you.